Welcome to the Travel Like a Boss podcast, where we interview location-independent entrepreneurs that travel the world like a boss by being their own boss. Here's your host, Johnny FD.
Hey everyone, this is Johnny, and welcome to episode 220 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. I'm here with Julie Clark in Las Palmas, Gran Canaria. Welcome.
Hi everyone.
Yeah. So Julie's actually one of the smartest, most successful women I know.
Oh, that's a lie.
No, it's true. But I've known you now for more than a year, a while now. But I'm embarrassed to say I can't remember how we met.
Oh, I know how we met. I posted on meetup.com a co-working meetup at my house. And remember, you were the only one that showed up. Do you remember that?
I remember being there and how
and you ended up playing,
and
you played Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
and we were like, forget, we don't have to do the co-working. We'll just play Nintendo. That
was so funny. I remember that. It was here in Las Palmas.
Yeah. So I started that group and just had like meetups, co-working meetups at the house. Believe it or not, all the other ones were successful. The one you showed up to, like no one showed up.
Well, then I would say it was a success.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But it's funny how often people, successful people will go out of their way to make something cool, for the community, and then nobody will come.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
Right.
And then they kind of wait until it gets popular and then they show up.
Right.
But then I think the best connections you make are when something's new and not popular yet.
Right. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. I held on to that group for a while, and then you probably know this on Meetup. They now charge you, if you're like an administrator of a Meetup group, over 100 people, they now charge you.
You know what?
I think it was like $10 or $20 a month.
And it was a lot. I actually remember doing it for a group in Chiang Mai. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, I'm not even making $15 a month back from this. Why would I pay for it when I can use Facebook groups for free?
Right, exactly. That's why I was just like, I let it go. And I was traveling too much. I wasn't, in Gran Canaria enough to have like that consistent, meetup every other week. Yeah.
Okay. But you know what? It led us to meeting each other, so I'm happy you did it. Yeah. Thank you for that.
But then I started the Facebook group, the American Expats in Spain, and that group's 2,500. So that one was successful.
And it's funny that in every country, it's either meetup.com is popular or Facebook groups are popular, or maybe even Couchsurfing. I guess that's kind of a separate thing, but it's in some places, people like in Chiang Mai, people only use Facebook groups. Like nobody uses Meetup.
Interesting. Okay.
And then in some other countries, nobody uses Facebook groups.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. And now WhatsApp groups, I think, are popular.
Yeah, they're super popular, but they're so annoying.
Yeah, they're too many people sometimes. And you like jump into the group and you're like, what the hell are they talking about? Yeah.
And what drives me crazy is the little notifications. Like the first thing I do when I join a WhatsApp group or Telegram group is I mute the chat because I know it's going to get crazy.
Yeah.
But then even seeing that number, 261 new messages, it drives me nuts. And I have to, I
clean it out.
Yeah, it's the OCD in me. I have to clean it out every time.
Yeah.
So I am happy to say that I'm part of 0 groups.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some of my WhatsApp community groups are migrating over to Telegram. Have you heard about this?
I have a Telegram as well, but why did they move?
So a lot of the people in the crypto space and aware of a lot of cybersecurity, they think that they could get hacked because apparently if someone has your phone number and your name, they can easily hack you.
Okay, yeah.
So in a WhatsApp group, everyone sees each other's numbers. And then in Telegram, it's just you have your handle. You don't know the phone number.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have Telegram because I think it's better, but then a lot of people don't have it, so then I also have to have WhatsApp.
Oh, yeah.
And then for my mom, I use Line, which is the Asian version.
I heard about that, yeah. Interesting.
That's cool. All right.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see you in Las Palmas again.
Yeah, 1 year later.
Yeah.
Even though I'm here for 3 days and then leaving again.
I forgot that you were, I don't know, I guess we haven't really spoke since I left.
No. I mean, I follow you. I feel like I know what's going on in your life.
And I feel bad because I have no idea what's happening in your life.
That's okay. I'm sure it's not as interesting.
No, I'm sure it is. But okay, so you were in Las Palmas for how long?
2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then why did you initially move here?
So that is the longest story ever, and I'll try to condense it and not bore your listeners. So my entire professional career, I was working in a remote environment, and the biggest challenge I saw was working from home is kind of like you feel isolated, and it was hard to retain a remote team. Like you don't feel that connection. So when I started my remote company, I knew the very first thing I had to tackle was like that community element. So like 6 months into my business, I announced to my company, I was like, oh, let's go on a little, company retreat. And I couldn't afford like, a huge vacation. And Nomad Cruise, I like that it was like, different nomads from all over the world. So a lot of the Americans that work for me have never left America. They've never met people outside of their culture. So it was a really cool experience for them. And plus we got to bond. So we went on Nomad Cruise, and a girl that works for me, Jessica, she's traveled all over the world. And as I'm researching, like, this cruise looks great, I'm like, but it's leaving from Las Palmas. And I'm like, Jess, where is that? Like, it looks like Morocco. She's like, no, it's this amazing place, an island off of Spain. She's like, trust me, just go like a week before it starts. And at the time, I'm like in crazy startup mode. I was like, I don't have time. She's like, trust me, just go. So I go 1 week prior and like totally fall in love. But keep in mind, this is probably like the 4th country I've been to in the world. So I'm like, I have not a lot to compare to, but it's like super safe, fast Wi-Fi, a really strong expat community, a city with a beach, like everything that I'd be looking for. And so after the cruise, we ended up in the DR, and a lot of the nomads were like, oh, so where are you going next? And I was like, oh, back home. And they're like, but you're a nomad, like you own your own business. Why do you have to go back home? And I'm like, oh, you're right. I don't have to go back home. So when I went back to Philadelphia, it was snowing. And I remember looking outside the window, I'm like, what am I doing? And now after Nomad Cruise, I had like, I was following like 100 people that were like digital nomads. My news feed looks like a travel magazine.
Yeah,
so I'm
wow.
like, I'm looking out the window, it's snowing. And, I'm like, all these people are traveling the world. And like, why am I not? So like, I announced my company, I'm like, I'm moving to Las Palmas. And they're like, what? They were like, you're crazy.
And they're like, where's Las Palmas?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I just made that decision, and I rented out my house and just picked up.
Wow, that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And it's actually kind of cool. I never heard of anyone taking their like company on Nomad Cruise as a retreat.
Yeah.
Because I always think of it as more as like independent digital nomads.
Right.
But it kind of makes sense. Like if you work for a remote company, to have it
Right.
be kind of a team getaway where you can also meet others too.
Exactly, yeah. And a lot of them were like new to this whole like working remotely. And I wanted everyone to have like not only a job, but also an experience. So it kind of tied into that as well. And ironically, someone that worked for me met the love of their life who lives in Chile. They now are getting married, and he moved to Chile. So like it was like a life-changing experience.
Wow, that's really
Yeah.
cool. I think that actually would be a really good recruitment tool as well. So just putting it out there, if anyone, owns or works for a company that is trying to hire remote workers,
Yeah.
go on Nomad Cruise.
Right.
And then just kind of, I don't want to say poach people because you're not
Yeah.
really poaching them from anyone specific.
Well, that's ironic you say that. So like I have like the craziest recruitment strategy for my company. So I have an automation tool set up on my company account. Mm-hmm. And so anyone that uses the hashtag like remote year, like digital nomad, we start following them. Mm-hmm. And ironically, my automation tool on my company Instagram started following Jessica, who now works for me. Mm-hmm. So followed her, and she's like, who's this company, like Capa? And so she's looking at my page, and it doesn't look like a staffing company. It looks like a travel company. And so she was like, oh, this looks interesting. So she just wanted to have a conversation with me and learn what we're doing. And then after talking to her, I'm like, oh, you're such a good fit for our company. And she's like, oh, but sorry, like, I don't want to be a recruiter. Like, that's not my thing. I was like, oh, well, are you interested in blogging for us? So she started out blogging for us. And then now she's been with me for 2 years. She's a recruiter on like 2 of our best accounts. But it's funny, like my automation tool found her like on Instagram. Like, it's crazy how times are changing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And as much as I think traditional companies are hesitant to use things like Instagram for recruitment or for kind of business development, it's kind of just where people hang out. So you kind of have to.
Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of people, like, I think validate a culture before they join. They now check Instagram. Like, so, I've had my staffing company for 3 years. And a lot of times when we talk to candidates, I can like hear them typing on the keyboard, and I'm like, crap, they're searching our client on Glassdoor.
Wow.
And they're like, oh, they go from like, oh, this job sounds great. And then I hear typing, and then they're like, Yeah, I don't know if this is the right fit for me. I'm like, why? They're like, yeah, we just went on Glassdoor.
Wow.
So a lot of people are validating culture either on Glassdoor or Instagram or LinkedIn, what type of people are working for the company. So it's smart though.
Yeah, I think so too. So you moved yourself and your business to Las Palmas.
Right.
What was it like settling in here?
I think I was in the honeymoon phase for like a full year. And like I was in setup mode, so I think I didn't have a lot of time to really probably enjoy the atmosphere. Like I was doing a lot of, like we had visitors like every month. So I felt like a constant tour guide. I didn't have a lot of downtime when like you live in a vacation spot and like people are constantly visiting you. Like our referral partners and clients, they would come and fly out. So it was constantly like an entertainment mode. And then at the same time, like trying to set up my life. Like simple stuff is like finding a doctor or, you know, the basics, you know, finding a dentist. And, you know, most of the island doesn't speak English. So there's that transition and just fixing up the place to make sure it's comfortable. So it was a hard transition. And I wasn't a traveler before I like settled here. So, and I didn't speak Spanish. So it was a huge learning curve for me.
So I could definitely see that, especially if you're like moving your life here.
Yeah.
I think it's different when someone's a nomad and they know they're just going to be there for a month. They get a furnished Airbnb.
Right.
They don't worry about the dentist.
Right. Yeah.
But you were basically, you knew that you were moving your life here kind of longer term.
Yeah.
Actually, so I think some people might not know what Gran Canaria is.
Oh, yeah.
You want to explain it?
Yeah. So it's a island off of Spain. So it's part of the Canary Islands. If you're looking at the map, it looks like it's like a dot next in the ocean next to Morocco.
And it is.
Yeah. And it's great weather all year round. I think that what's super unique, if you search, I mean, you're well traveled, you know, all the cities with a beach with great weather all year round. San Diego, obviously comes close to that, but there's not a ton like El Rio, San Juan, and it has a surf town and it's inexpensive. Yeah, great weather all year round. So I just think that's a very unique place in the world.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about what are all the cities in the world that has a nice beach.
Exactly, yeah.
And not even year round, because that's definitely a huge plus if you want to be somewhere year round. But even just as a moving nomad, there's not that many like cities that even during the summer, it has both a city center where you can like get stuff done, right?
Right.
There's lots of islands in the world. So if you just want a beautiful beach without infrastructure, you can be, you know, on one of the thousands of islands.
Right.
But if you want to be able to, you know, get your iPhone fixed or get a new MacBook,
exactly,
have a normal life.
Yeah.
There's, you know, Barcelona, there's San Diego, there's like Florida, I guess. Right. And then, there's not that many places. Right.
And on top of that, I think what a lot of people underestimate, and someone that works for me, this is her story. I hope she doesn't mind me sharing this. When we all started working for the company, we all kind of relocated. So I went to Gran Canaria, Lauren went to Germany, and Jessica went to Portugal. I have another in Croatia. So we all kind of like picked our locations. And that fit for us, you know? And what was interesting, like a year later, Lauren calls me and she's like, you know, I'm going through a really hard time. And I'm thinking like, what? Like we all just relocated our life. Like we're exploring, like this is so much fun. She's like, I'm dealing with isolation. She's like, there's not a strong expat community. She moved to a castle with a farm, which is kind of random, but
this is the one you just got back from, right?
Yeah, I just visited her and validated that all of this is true. And she said she tried really hard to find, this is Kassel, Germany. It's like an hour and a half from Frankfurt.
Is it actually called Kassel, Germany?
I know, right? Yeah.
Wow.
How ironic. So she had a really hard time finding an expat community, and she was, you know, she's learning German, but not enough to like, you know, have a community yet. And just like not having someone to talk to outside of her husband, it was just really isolating. So I think one thing that I did really focus on before I made that move, I know I made it very quickly, but I did decide to move to a location that had a strong community. And I was so lucky, Nacho, who I now help run the conference here, Nomad City, he was always a phone call away. Like I'd be like, oh, how do I find this? Where's this? Do you know someone that does this? And he would respond to me very quickly. So there was this like welcoming feeling that like there was constantly support. So what was weird is like this started to feel more like home than even like Philadelphia, where I was there most of my life. Like going back there, I was telling you, it was like a reverse culture shock. I feel like here and the expat community is more fitting and feels more like home than, where I grew up.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool. And actually, even before I came to Gran Canaria, I heard Nacho's name so many times.
Oh, yeah. He's like a celebrity. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like the mayor of Gran Canaria.
Yeah. Like, if someone wants to learn how to like master the art of community, it's definitely him. Yeah. So he's just like an awesome person.
Yeah. And he's actually like just a nice guy, like a cool guy.
Yeah.
And what I really liked about Nacho, but also all the other kind of owners of co-working spaces here in Gran Canaria, is they really seem like they're all friends. Like,
right.
And I feel like in other places in the world, they're competitors.
No, yeah.
While
right.
here, it really feels like a community.
Yeah, it really does. They all stick together. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is good, because in the long run, by having a better like experience for everyone, you attract more nomads to the island. More people
Right.
stay longer.
Yeah.
Business goes well for everyone.
Exactly.
And as long as you have good space and you're established, you're always going to do well. Mm-hmm. But I think in some places where they're really competitive, it kind of just drives everyone away.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
But speaking of the expat community, I've always known it was good here. But this weekend, I went on a hike with Christian and Marta, which are my two Polish friends, who ironically I met in Chiang Mai. And they decided to move here to be closer to Poland.
Oh, yeah.
But still have good weather, still have nomad community. And during this hike, there were I want to say 20 other expats.
Wow.
And it really felt homey.
Yeah.
It really felt nice. And it actually made me wish that I was living here.
Wow.
Because people had dogs.
Yeah.
People had babies.
Right.
People had cars. It really felt like
they're not
home
just
away from home.
Yeah, they're not just here for a week and then gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've really transitioned.
Yeah, it was really nice. And the conversations you would have, I mean, most people were, working online. That's how they support themselves.
Right.
But the conversations weren't just about online business.
Right. Family.
It was family, hobbies,
right.
pets,
Yeah.
And I can see this being a place to really settle down.
Right. Yeah, no, it has. I think it's a really good place to live. Yeah, it's inexpensive, good weather all year round. It's super safe.
Super nice beaches.
Yeah.
You have good surfing.
Right.
You have scuba diving.
Yep.
Decent scuba diving. You have great snorkeling right off the beach.
Cycling. A lot of triathletes come here and train.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I can see that with the mountains. Yeah, you have beautiful mountains. You have a good kind of mixture. When you fly into Gran Canaria, you'll be really disappointed because it looks like an industrial desert.
Yeah.
But I think that's just kind of one area of the island.
Right.
And I almost think that the problem is when we describe Gran Canaria, it makes it sound like a tropical paradise. But it's really more of a desert city that happens to have some green.
Right.
And not be that, it's not dry.
Right. They describe it as many different continents. You drive 20 minutes one way, you feel there's an area that looks kind of like a jungle. We did that hike together.
Yeah, that was a great hike. And it felt like a jungle.
Right.
It felt like a semi-tropical jungle.
Right. And then there's mountainous areas. So it's so diverse. The landscape is so diverse. I don't know of any other island or country that's that diverse. So it's almost like you're in multiple different countries.
Yeah. And you also have a normal city center
right.
with malls and Starbucks and a media mart, where you can, buy PS4, you can get a new iPhone,
right.
buy, normal clothes, go to big supermarkets and have a normal city center life too.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I know a lot of Americans are why would you move to Gran Canaria? We have all, the Bahamas and there's all those islands. Why don't just move there? But we have access to all of Europe. For $80, I could visit my friend in Germany. There's just easy access to all of Europe. And this is livable all year round, good weather all year round. It's super safe. A lot of the other islands, the island's great if you just stay on a resort. Mm-hmm. But there's no city life where you can really indulge in the culture and live there. There's not a ton of islands outside of the resort that are really livable.
Yeah, I can see that. I would say the closest thing I could think of would be Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have Costco, you have Walmart, you have like normal city center.
But then triple the price.
More than triple.
That, yeah.
Like 4 times the price. And
right.
you don't have the tax breaks.
Exactly.
Because you're in the US.
Yeah, like a glass of wine here is like $1, $1.50 if you convert it. Yeah, it's super cheap here.
Yeah. Food's pretty cheap. Groceries are cheap.
Right.
The housing, I think it's kind of weird because like we are staying in a place, I'm staying at my buddy David's place, and you know David as well.
Yeah.
And it's expensive. It's like, 3,000 euros a month.
Well, that's tourism is driving it up.
Yeah.
But outside of this bubble, you go to the middle of the island, you can get something for like nothing.
Yeah. And well, and the thing is, like he doesn't need to be on the beach.
Yeah.
Like he's literally on the beach, his balcony is on the beach.
Right.
And it's like a huge, beautiful place. And the thing is, if we were trying to be fair, I guess if you had this exact location in Santa Monica or in Miami, it would be like 10 grand. So it's still good value.
Exactly.
But for most normal nomads, you can live 4 blocks, away from the and it'd be $1,000.
Right. But yeah, I mean, obviously we're painting all the good picture, but the negatives, which I cannot find too many. This is me like scraping to find a negative. It doesn't have Uber, but there's a taxi at every corner. So there's, once you get over the fact that you can't call a cab from your phone.
You can call a cab.
Oh, well, if you have the hookup. Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem.
App. Yeah.
And, I know it sounds silly, but the fact that I have to walk 4 blocks to take a cab is a bit annoying compared to just calling one on Uber.
Yeah.
So I think we're a bit spoiled.
We're spoiled, yeah.
But the nice thing is it's really affordable.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Coming from the airport, the airport bus was only €2.80, so it's
and then
$3.
it's 30 if you get a private taxi.
Yeah. But there's almost no reason to, because you could what I did was I took the bus for $3.
Yeah.
And then I took a taxi from the bus station for another $3.
Yeah.
And I was at the door.
Right. Yeah. And what's cool is like the locals are so welcoming. Like they're always so friendly. I think that was the first thing I noticed when I got here. Like happened to be in DC before I made this move. And I remember I was at a Starbucks and the girl at the register was like, "What do you want to drink?" And just like attitude. And I'm like, why doesn't she like her job? Like, you picked this job. I have never met anyone in Gran Canaria that has been like in a bad mood. But I guess if you live in like good weather all year round, why would you?
And
everyone's just so upbeat.
They are. It's really strange.
It's weird.
It's almost strange.
But then again, if I did a siesta from 12 to 4 or whatever they do, I think I'd never be miserable either.
Yeah, and I think people are just happy that they have a job.
Yeah.
And like they're just so laid back.
Right.
Where I feel so bad now, but I was kind of a dick the first day because I was like super tired.
When, last year? Or
No,
just
just like 2 days ago. I arrived and I was trying to get a SIM card, and I was waiting in line for like 20 something minutes because there was just like people there's only one person in front of me, but they're just taking their time, right?
Yeah.
And then I get to him and I'm like, "Oh, hi, can I buy a data SIM card?" He's like, "Oh, sorry, we don't we ran out."
Oh no.
And I was so annoyed because I just waited for 20 minutes and I was like, why don't you have a sign out that says they don't have it? Or
that's efficiency. Spain doesn't believe in that.
Yeah. And then I think I snapped because I was just annoyed.
No.
But then I was almost kind of expecting for him to also get angry too. And then I would be justified. Like, screw this guy. But no, he was so nice.
Mean.
He was so friendly. He's like, "Oh yeah, sorry man. Like, we normally have it, but we just ran out yesterday." And he starts like talking to me like not confrontationally at all.
Wow.
And not even trying to explain the situation, but it's almost like he made me feel like he was just talking to me like a friend.
Yeah.
As he's like, "Yeah, man, it sucks sometimes the boss doesn't send you the right, things." And I found myself kind of just hanging out with this guy.
Yeah.
And just chatting. And I was like, man, you can't even get mad at people in this city because everyone's so friendly.
Oh, if that was in New York, we would have got punched.
Yeah. And I wanted that, right?
Yeah.
I wanted like that confrontation.
Yeah.
To feed each other's anger, right?
Right.
But you don't get that here.
Oh no. They're so nice.
Yeah.
So welcoming, yeah.
And one thing that I really like is even though everyone speaks Spanish, they are so patient.
They're so patient.
I've never met anyone in the world that is this patient with my terrible Spanish. But like they will really listen to you.
Right.
And they will like really try to figure out what you're trying to say. And then they'll like encourage and congratulate you for being terrible.
But the flip side is that patience leaks into other areas, like when you need the check and you need to go.
Oh, yeah.
It will take like an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's island life and it's Spanish life.
Yeah.
And I guess other annoying things are, I was trying to have lunch yesterday, but it was at a kind of a weird time in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I walked around for like 30 minutes trying to find a place that was open. And places would literally say, opens tomorrow at like
the
7
weirdest
p.m.
hours. Well, you know, we met and got sushi or poke bowl, and it was open an hour before it said on. The hours are always wrong.
Yeah.
And the addresses are always wrong. So that's always confusing.
Yeah. And places don't open. Like lunch starts normally at 1.
Yeah.
A lot of places. And then it'll close at 2.
Right.
And reopen at 7 p.m. or 8 p.m.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are people doing? Like,
Yeah.
like, how do they make money?
Exactly.
Like everywhere's closed on Mondays for some reason. And sometimes Sundays as well.
Yeah.
And we're like, reopens Wednesday, 3 p.m.
Right.
You're like, okay.
Yeah. Well, try hiring like that mindset, you know, when they like need siestas. I don't think I ever told you the story. I hired, you know, a local and just to help out because obviously I don't speak Spanish. And like we were training for like 1 hour and then he's like, oh, I have to take a siesta, which I was like, okay, yeah, that's normal. I get it. And he wanted to take a nap like at my place.
Oh, that's so funny.
And I was like, what do I do? Do I set an alarm? Like, how does this work? Yeah. So they take siestas to a whole nother extreme.
That's so random.
Yeah, right. You met him. He came to the co-working. Yeah.
Okay. So to be fair, you guys were working out of your place. So
Yeah.
it's not like you were working in an office
But
and
like,
he asked you to go to your house.
Yeah, right. And he's like, can I take my shirt off? I'm like, what do I do here? This is getting awkward.
That is, yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. I guess it's efficient too. So instead of him
That is efficient.
taking the bus home.
Way to spend my horrible hiring.
I don't know.
That's funny.
But I liked your place a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and are you still keeping that place?
No, I have a new place near Corte Inglés. So it's like the main mall of Gran Canaria.
So now you're in La Canteras, or where are we? Las Canteras?
Basically Mesa Lopez. You know where Corte Inglés is?
Is that like how far of a walk is it from here?
Okay. Do you know how to get to the other beach?
Yeah.
Okay. My place is in front of that beach.
Okay, so 20-minute walk?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because I really liked your place, but it was just too far.
Oh, well, yeah. So Vegeta is like the old town that is super trendy now. A lot of people are like, I think 50% of the expats or digital nomads are here in Las Palmas or in Vegeta. Because there's a lot of shopping there and great restaurants and there's a lot of development going on there. But you're right. That's why I moved closer here because like all my friends, all the events that were going on were here.
Yeah. So to kind of explain Las Palmas to everyone, or Gran Canaria to everyone, because it is confusing.
Yeah.
So people will say either I'm going to Canary Islands, Gran Canaria, or Las Palmas.
Yeah.
And what it means is Canary Islands is the set of islands.
Right.
So kind of like saying, when someone says I'm going to Hawaii,
Right.
you'll say which island.
Right. Exactly. Like a state. Like
yeah.
Gran Canaria is like a state, essentially. Yeah.
So there's Tenerife, Lanzo,
La Palma. Yeah, Lanzarote, Fuerteventura.
Okay.
Anyone that loves like the really white beaches, we have all dark beaches here. Fuerteventura has like all white beaches basically. The kite surfing's really popular there. More people from London go to Fuerteventura. Yeah, so.
Okay. So there's much like prettier islands.
Yeah.
But the reason why we come to Gran Canaria, which I assume is the biggest of the Canary Islands.
Oh, no, Tenerife is the biggest.
Is it?
Yeah.
I guess
this
the
is
name's
the
all
second
wrong.
biggest, yeah.
Okay, so the reason why we're in Gran Canaria is it has the Las Palmas, which is the capital city.
Exactly.
And it feels more like a real city.
Right.
It has kind of like a bigger airport.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of more here to have a normal life.
Right.
So it's not as tropical or as beautiful, but
Right.
still very nice.
Well, it was funny when Dave at Tenerife, people are going to hate me when I say this.
Yeah.
David, who called me and was like, oh, you know, I wanted to move to the Canary Islands. Where should we move? Gran Canaria or Tenerife? Obviously, I was going to talk him into Gran Canaria regardless.
Okay.
But I explained to him, like, Tenerife, it's beautiful and it has a different set of, you know, beauty than Gran Canaria. But the city itself doesn't have a surfing beach. So the surfing vibe totally changes the city. And so like if you live in the city, if you need to go to the beach in Tenerife and Santa Cruz, you have to get in the car. Like here, you just walk outside. Yeah.
Yeah, literally we can like throw a stone at surfers here.
Yeah.
But yes, and to kind of explain how much of a city it is, if you're 2 blocks in, like away from the beach, I forget that I'm in a beach town. It just feels like a normal city.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, there's even IKEA here.
There's 2
IKEAs here, I think.
Yeah, but a little bit of a drive.
Yeah.
And
then,
McDonald's.
Yeah.
And Starbucks. Oh, they just got Starbucks within the last year.
I saw that. And what's funny is I tried to go to that McDonald's yesterday.
No, you didn't.
Yes. Because I was meeting some people near there to go on a hike.
Oh.
And I thought,
just a meeting point. Okay.
You know, but I was like, I haven't had McDonald's breakfast in so long. It'd be nice to have. Yeah. So I walked there, and at like 9:30 a.m., it's closed.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't open until like 11.
Oh, that's interesting. The franchise probably has different versions all over the world, like the hours.
That's so weird.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess that kind of sums up Las Palmas. It's it's kind of like a mini Barcelona city. I don't know, city center. I don't know, with like a nice beach. But I wouldn't. So for me personally, I wouldn't live in the old city. Yeah. Figuera, because even though I think it's really beautiful for tourists and for locals too, I actually think it's a nice place to live. Mm-hmm. It's where like tapas night is. It has probably the nicest co-working space on the island. Go co-working. I really like the layout. Hate you. Hey, you know what? Like, I think Nacho's co-working space has the best community. Yeah, it does. But Go Co-working has the best layout. Yeah. It has like big bright windows with like lots of natural light. It has like big nice tables, really, really comfortable chairs. It's just set up as like a really nice co-working space. Yeah. But it's just too far for me, so I never go.
Exactly. Yeah. But you haven't had the real Gran Canaria experience until you've been to Carnival.
Which I just missed a few days ago.
Yeah, huge mistake. I have never been to a place where like literally every month there's some festival, some party. I just can't even keep track. Like there's always a, I go out to the supermarket, they're like, oh, this is a day off. And next thing you know, there's like a festival, a beer festival. Carnival is like a full month. So it's like all over the island and the street is crowded. For anyone that's never been to Carnival in Spain, to give you an idea, it's like Mardi Gras meets Halloween. So it's like day drinking in costumes and men that are very comfortable wearing pink and girly clothes.
Okay. There's a Carnival in Germany too, right?
There is?
Yeah. Oh, I think in like Cologne in the south, where everyone wears in costumes. But I think it's only like, it's weird. It's also a couple months long, but I think they only celebrate it like for a weekend in the beginning and then like a weekend at the end or something. But I haven't been, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. Definitely an experience though.
Yeah. But it's weird because I've always assumed Carnival was just in Brazil.
Yeah, I know. That's when I heard about it. And I thought it was like insane there. Yeah.
All right. Well, honestly, I'm kind of glad I missed it.
Yeah. You'd be recovering right now.
Yeah, I'd be.
Yeah. From a whole month. Yeah. That's why I'm like, how do these people survive? And they go to all of them.
Yeah,
it's
wow.
Crazy. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to be chilling here and hanging out. But you're not staying here much longer, right?
Oh, if Nacho's listening, he's going to be very upset. I haven't announced it I told some of my friends. So I stayed here for 2 years. I'm different than most of the nomads. I really want to understand the culture and I want to commit to 2 years. And I did start a business kind of around Spain, the American expats in Spain. And I was going to set up a business here, but it just made more sense to go to Puerto Rico. But it had to do with a family decision. I didn't even tell you this. My dad called me like 6 months ago and he's 75. And he's like, you've been living like my dream. Like I keep on hearing how you're a digital nomad. Like I want to be a digital nomad.
Wow, and 75.
So I think he's like joking and I'm like, oh, so anyway, so he's like, no, Julie, I'm not joking. I want to be a digital nomad. And I was like, Dad, you've accumulated so much stuff. You'll have to put it all in storage. Like this transition will be huge. Like at your age, he's like, Julie, I'm ready. And I was like, okay. But I'm thinking for health reasons, I can't relocate him to Gran Canaria. So I'm thinking what place near the US that will feel like a digital nomad vibe, but it's close to the US just in case we have to fly him back. So I start searching every island around the US, safety, cost, community, because that's really important. And he speaks no other language. So I actually found, I think it was a Forbes article. It was like why digital nomads are going to Puerto Rico. And it was like a really good business opportunity. So I'm like reading that. And then I actually posted in the San Juan expat group. And I said, hey, I'm thinking about moving there. How is everything after Maria? Is there internet? Like, I'm just picturing the worst, because all the news and media has painted the picture like the whole island is like demolished. Mm-hmm. So everyone's, these nice expats in the group are responding like, no, it's like totally fine here. Like electricity is back up and running. Like you won't even notice that there's a hurricane unless you go to the outskirts of like San Juan. So I told my dad, I said, listen, I'm going to go a week before. I'm going to check out the place and I'm going to give you a whole report. I'll let you know if you can come out and I'll get you a one-way ticket. So he goes, perfect. So I stayed in, Old San Juan. And of course, it's a little too touristy for me. And he's kind of the same way. He didn't want it like a crazy touristy area. So then San Juan, I checked out and it was like perfect. And what was interesting, it had that same element that I was looking for here when I first moved, to like a strong expat community. And they have a enormous expat community. They have a WhatsApp group for every hobby under the sun that you can think of. I got into beach tennis. I'm now part of a beach tennis club, a poker club, a hiking club, a beach cleanup club, saving animals. There's like multiple communities there. So it had a lot of elements that I was looking for. And then I was meeting a lot of like crypto guys that have come down there for Act 20 and 22. So 22 is the capital gains tax incentive, and then Act 20 is for businesses, 4% corporate tax if you get approved for exporting services. So if you do business with companies in Puerto Rico, then you can't qualify for the 4%. But if you're already doing business and your clients are in the US, then that's considered export of services. So that's why all of a sudden, like I was in Puerto Rico for I think 2 months, just a few months ago. And I was meeting like 20 new people like every week that are just coming down and finding out about this incentive. So it's not a lot of digital nomads. It seems like either people that are retired or they're somehow retired at 35 and, you know, they're worried about capital gains. So it's not really a big traveler scene. It's more people that are putting in their 6 months to qualify for this tax incentive. And then, the other 6 months back in the States if they have a family or something.
Yeah, really good info. And I actually had looked into moving to Puerto Rico. And
how did you find out about it? Because like I talk to people and they're like, how did you find out about it?
I think I don't know how I first heard about it. You know, just kind of being around other people who like tax breaks and travel. But I think just earlier last year, we interviewed someone on the Invest Like a Boss podcast about Act 22 and Act 20 and kind of the pros and cons of moving to Puerto Rico. So that was episode 88 of Invest Like a Boss, if you guys want to listen to it. It was with Jory Roberts, who I think... I don't know him. I'm trying to remember who they are, but I think they actually professionally relocate people or consult. Yeah. So basically, from what I remember that episode, the big kind of pros of being a nomad or expat in Puerto Rico is instead of having to be out for 11 months a year, like I do, you can just be out for 6 months a year, which allows you to spend half the year back in the US, which is really nice for a lot of people.
But then it's also like, it doesn't matter if you're like, forget it, I'm never going back to the US. So then it doesn't matter as long as you're not spending 6 months in the US. You can, like, I could be in Spain and then all of Europe for most of the year and then just do a few months in Puerto Rico. The majority has to be in Puerto Rico and can't be another country. Okay. So then if you float around most of the year but then spend 2 or 3 months, that's the majority.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be 3 months in a day. It can be as long as you're not spending 3 months in Spain or something.
But you have to prove that like you're a resident there. Like you have to switch your license. You have to have a bank account there. You pay all your bills out of that bank account.
Okay. So it's a real move. You actually have to move to Puerto Rico.
Exactly.
Versus I'm not actually living in Thailand.
Right.
I just happen to be in Thailand.
Yeah. And then just to compare and contrast, like Gran Canaria, they have the same like 4%, but to be a Zec company, you have to hire 5 residents of Spain And to be a resident, you have to be here 6 months. So if you hire a nomad that moves here, they have to commit here, 6 months out of the year. But then that turns on and off. Like with the Act 20, you're grandfathered in for, I believe it's 10 or 20 years. You're grandfathered in. So no one can take that away. And right now you don't have to hire 5 locals.
Okay. Yeah. So
that's a big difference.
I can definitely see a lot of benefits of living in Puerto Rico.
And then you don't have to worry about the visa, obviously.
Yeah. Because it's technically part of the U.S. Right. And I think as Americans going to Puerto Rico, we get a lot of benefits. Yeah. And unfortunately, they don't get that a lot of benefits for going to the U.S.
Well, you'll be shocked by this. What? So after I lived in Spain for 3 years, I was spoiled by this whole medical tourism thing that I kind of set up for myself. I don't have those nomad ones like safety wings or anything. I pay out of pocket, and I was telling you it's cheaper to pay out of pocket for the whole procedure than to do the copay in the US with insurance.
Yeah.
So I was like, forget it. I'll stay just in case there is a huge emergency. I did keep some of my insurance in the US, but then, just pay out of pocket if something comes up when I'm traveling. But so I signed up for insurance in Puerto Rico. Just guess what so in the US, it was keep in mind, I never go to the doctors. I'm super healthy. It's $700 a month. That's what I was paying.
That's crazy.
Guess what it is in Puerto Rico for me right now?
I don't know. It can't be less than 100.
Oh yeah. $120.
Wow.
So that's because that's what's cool about Puerto Rico. It's a totally separate system. So you're not into their federal system. Everything's totally separate. So the insurance companies, I guess, haven't really affected the insurance.
That's good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're saying that it's not that cheap to live in Puerto Rico.
Oh, it's so expensive.
Yeah, it's crazy because...
But that's because of the Jones Act. Have you read about the Jones Act?
No, what is that?
Yeah, so it's basically there's anytime a ship, an export, import, it has to stop in the U.S., and so there's tariffs on the goods that come in. And so 95% of the island is import.
Yeah, that sucks. And yeah, because
they're not sustaining off any of the farming there.
I think so. I've heard a lot about the Jones Act, mostly for cruise ships.
Oh, okay.
Where let's say they want to go to Hawaii or something.
Right. That's why it was created.
Yeah. So I think the reason it was created is to have U.S. people have jobs, right?
Right.
And also for U.S. ships to be used, because it'd be rude if people were shipping stuff from one country to the U.S. and not paying tax, right? But so they created this act where if anything between U.S. cities or U.S. ports needs to be on a U.S. ship with all U.S. employees, which then gets really expensive.
Exactly.
But so going from but then you can go from the U.S. to another country or another country to the U.S. without needing that.
Right.
So a lot of cruises, if they want to go from let's say Los Angeles to Hawaii, that's U.S. to U.S., so they can't do that.
Right.
So what they do instead is they go L.A. to some random sandbar that's owned by another country.
Right.
That's 12 hours out of the way of Hawaii.
Right.
Touch base and then just go back to Hawaii.
Right.
And it's such a waste of fuel.
Exactly.
But you just have to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird. Yeah. So I get my normal things in the supermarket and my almond butter is $15, but then I'll go down in the one aisle to get lotion. And if I get the lotion that's from Panama, it's $1. But if I get the other lotion, the brands that I know, it's $10.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little tricky, but when I get back, I want to get involved in the CSAs there. So
CSA is what? Community sourced agriculture?
Support agriculture.
Okay.
Community supported agriculture, yeah.
So I've heard of CSA boxes.
Okay.
Is that what it is?
So basically, it's a lot of farmers take on a lot of risk if you're, developing your farm, and if there is a hurricane and it demolishes your farm, that you just lost all your investment. So a CSA, what that does is it collects the money up front. Let's say I have a farm and you paid me up front for all the fruit and vegetables I'm going to give you for the year. You give me $500. It'd be more than that probably in Puerto Rico, but $500. If there's a hurricane, you lose your $500. That's your donation to the farming community, because that farmer will go out of business. So you're basically keeping the farm, active, by not by being part of the CSA.
Okay.
But in organic farming too.
And I guess that since you're prepaying, maybe you get like a bit of a I don't know. Like, is it cheaper than if you had bought it afterwards, or?
Oh, I don't know about
or better,
that.
maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm not
better.
Sure. Maybe better, yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember the first time I saw CSA box was actually in Lisbon, Portugal.
Oh.
I was staying with my buddies, Alexis and Shannon, and it's so weird, actually. I have a lot of friends who have me stay at their places, and then they're like, oh yeah, we're not going to be there. So just like, take the key or like something. Yeah. So I show up, and then they say, "Oh, by the way, if you see a box of fruits and vegetables, that's our CSA box.
Oh, and you're like, what's that?"
Yeah, and I had no idea. And they're like, "Oh, just take it in and eat it because it's gonna go bad by the time we get back."
Right.
So I opened this box that's like a wooden crate.
Yeah.
And it was like Christmas.
Right.
And there's all these like random fruits and vegetables that none of them look perfect, right? They look like they actually came from a farm.
Right.
They have like some dirt on them.
Yeah.
And there's some things I never recognized. I was like, what
is
is this?
Yeah.
But it was so tasty, so fresh, so ripe.
Right.
And it forced me to eat random vegetables that normally I would never buy.
Right.
And I liked it.
But isn't it great that like you knew where that came from? Like, everyone's so afraid of Monsanto these days. And like, if you knew it came from that farm that's like 20 minutes away, you don't have to worry maybe about them using Monsanto and stuff like that. So it's like healthier.
Yeah, I think that's cool. And it is nice because like you're supporting a local farmer,
Right,
like local
exactly,
economy.
Yeah.
I think that if I lived somewhere, and I always thought like when I moved back to the US, but I guess I can do this anywhere.
Yeah.
I would sign up for a weekly CSA box.
Oh, good.
I would probably buy like a half a cow.
Yeah.
And like just have it in my freezer.
Well, you're going to Ukraine, right? For 3
months.
3 months, you could commit to something or set something up. You set up Nomad Coffee, only being here 1 week. I'm sure you could set up.
Yeah. Well, that's actually really funny. Like,
and now it's like huge. There's a huge following. Nomad Coffee. Yeah.
But you know what? To be fair, like.
Just because you're not going to brag on your own show, so I'll brag for you. He came, he had a coffee meetup, and now there's like tons of people that show up. Johnny left. This was a year ago, and now this is the most popular meetup still on the island,
which is cool.
Yeah,
but it's only because like Maria and Murray. I can't even pronounce her name. Miriam.
Miriam.
The
girl that helps Maria.
Yeah.
Miriam,
so yeah. Sorry, I can't pronounce anyone's names, but they run it. So really, it was just like inspiration, but I'm actually speaking there this week, and I'm so excited to go back and see how it's grown.
Yeah. Have you ever done the Strengths Finder?
No, what is that?
Oh, it's like a personality assessment. I know what your number one is.
What?
Activator.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you have to take it. Because you get people moving, and you're not someone to sit around and research something for days. You just start doing it, and it gets traction. But then you need someone to take over and continue it. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, because I don't want to do it.
But you're the idea guy, but you execute too. So
I think my biggest problem before was wanting to do everything myself.
Yeah,
because it was just easier than trying to get other people to do it.
Right.
But now my goal is to just, get things going and then find good people to just take it over.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's always the hardest part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So shout out to the Nomad Coffee Club Las Palmas.
Yay.
If you guys are coming to Gran Canaria, you can join their Facebook group, go to the meetups.
Yeah. And they're having, I told you, the first co-living conference here.
Yeah, with Christine McDaniel, who spoke at the Nomad Summit last year in Vegas. Yeah. So that's cool that she's doing that.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so there's a lot happening here.
There is a lot happening. Yeah.
If I was European and I wanted to be close to Europe, but somewhere warm year round and somewhere nice, like lower cost of living, good weather, 100% I'll move to Las Palmas.
Right.
Like without a doubt. And this is why my Polish friends, like they've been here for 2 years now, or a year and a half, and they love it.
Right.
It's warmer than Poland.
Right.
It's not that much more expensive, actually.
Right. Yeah.
And they have access to a great community. They really like it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the other islands that are popular, like a lot of Americans go to Ibiza, but that's like a seasonal place.
It's a party place. That's
exactly.
Like $15 waters.
Exactly. And I don't think it has that city vibe and community. It's just seasonal. And there, what else? Like Malta. There's a lot of other islands out there, but I just feel like they aren't as developed as here, where you could like live all year round. I think I would get stir crazy and feel like landlocked on some of the other islands.
That's the biggest problem with islands in general.
Yeah.
Is they're too small.
Right.
And even, to be honest, like Gran Canaria, if you don't have a car and you just stay in Las Canteras, and you just have to walk everywhere, it also gets too small.
Right.
But once you start exploring and you go, hiking on the weekends, or you start going to the other side of the island to do stuff, then you realize, okay, there's actually enough to do.
Yeah.
It's big enough.
Did you get this from your American friends? When I told people I moved to Gran Canaria and they look it up on the map and I'm like, oh, come and visit me. They're like, so like, what kind of like boat would I have to rent to get over to your island? They're picturing like Gilligan's Island, like coming over on a boat like that.
It looks so small on the Google Maps though.
Right. So that's what they're picturing. They're like, maybe another time.
Yeah.
But like, what state, I'm trying to think size-wise, what state would you compare it just to give it?
I have no idea.
Like the population, I did it at one point.
I've never looked it up. So you can look it up.
Yeah.
In my mind, Gran Canaria, I think because on Google Maps, the closest landmass is Africa. So it looks like a speck next to it. But they have, they have international airport. They have cheap flights from all around Europe. You can even fly, I think, from, I don't know, can you fly from the East Coast here directly?
Oh, so that starts in April.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, to Boston. That's so random. Like, I don't know why Boston. Yeah, Binter Airlines is going from Gran Canaria to Boston.
Okay.
Yeah.
The only place that doesn't fly here at all is Sri Lanka.
Oh, so yeah, you found that out the hard way.
Oh, God, it was such a hard trip, but... not that many people are going to go from Sri Lanka to here, so I guess it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I just figured this out a few months ago after being here for 2 years. There's actually a lot of families that come over here there's a public company, a mining company, Kinross.
Okay.
What was funny, when I first came here, I added myself to like every group that was Gran Canaria or Las Palmas, and someone messaged me and they're like, oh, are you a widow? And I was like,
why?
What? I'm like, that's such a random thing to message someone. They're like, well, you're part of the Kinross group. And I was like, I don't really know it. So I'm Googling what's Kinross and like, why do you think I'm a widow or a divorce? They're like, are you divorced or a widow? And so apparently this company here has been attracting Americans here, their families, so that maybe the husband comes over, he's getting a great job here. The family comes, and then if they get divorced or, they lose their husband, this island's so beautiful and cheap compared to America, they stay. So apparently there's a Facebook group for these families that have come here, but now they stayed, but then they're not connected to Kinross anymore. So there's this group, yeah. They just
weird. Okay.
They renamed the group. That's why I was confused. I was like, what did I sign up for?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can see why people live here.
Yeah.
But for Americans, it's not okay. So for Europeans, you can basically just show up if you're part of EU, because it's Spain.
Yeah.
And you can basically just stay.
Yeah.
You can. I mean, technically, I think you're supposed to leave every 6 months, but I don't think anyone cares or checks.
Right.
But as Americans, we have 30 days every 180 days. No, 90 days every 180 days.
Yep.
Like anywhere in Schengen.
180-day period. Yeah.
So you can stay here for 3 months, leave for 3 months, come back for 3 months, which is, fine if you're traveling.
Right.
But it wouldn't be good to live here.
Right.
But so how did you do it for 2 years?
That was a nightmare. So researching the entrepreneur's visa, I wrote a blog about this. So if anyone wants to go through the process and not go through the headache that I went through, they can just, I outline the whole process. But basically, you get a 1-year renewal, but the entrepreneur's visa, you're promising Spain that you're going to set up a business. And when you set up the business, their hopes is that you'll help their unemployment issue. And I think it's like 40% unemployment under the age of 40 for the residents of Spain. So they want you to stimulate the economy and create jobs. So they don't want you to just come here and set up a freelance business. They want you to create jobs. So you have to submit a business plan first to the commercial office. There's different Spain commercial offices throughout the U.S. I think there's 6 of them. I'm in because I was in Pennsylvania. Mine was in New York City. So you send an email to that. I have the whole thing outlined. But you send an email to the guy, and he sends it to Madrid, your business plan. They are looking to make sure it's an innovative plan and it will potentially create jobs for the locals. Then once that's approved, then you take that document and all your other requirements, which is like a federal background check, an apostille background check. So it's not just any background check, criminal and for the whole US. You take that. Financials, they want to make sure that you're not just going to come here and freeload and live off the government. You have enough financial means, which is not a lot. I think you only need like 30,000 for the year saved up. Bank statements, the background check, the business plan, and then there's a standard application form. And insurance. So Tokyo Marine, have you heard of that? That's one of the biggest insurance companies, biggest underwriters in Spain. And it's pretty inexpensive, but you have to get an insurance plan that fits the requirements for this visa. So that was the process, but the research for that took about a year.
Wow.
But if you're not looking to set up a business, then you just go the non-lucrative route, which is the same process that I just explained minus the business plan. And then for some reason, the non-lucrative visa requires an extensive health check. As long as you're healthy, you're fine. Just gotta get a note from a doctor. But it's basically the same process, and you just go to your Spanish consulate. You have to book an appointment 30 days in advance because they're booked for some reason.
Because they're on siesta.
Yeah, they're always on siesta. So, everything is done. This is the trick because a lot of people I meet, they're like, oh, this sounds great. I'll just do it. I'm like, you're in Spain though. You can't be right now, you're on a visitor's visa right now. So you technically can't apply for a non-lucrative visa while on a visitor's visa. Okay. You physically have to go to the Spanish consulate and hand in the paperwork. And then once you're approved, then they put a sticker in your passport. And then you can come. And it's so good for 1 year. And then you just renew it every year. And then after 5 years, then you can get a passport.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, it'd be cool to have I don't know. It's a pain. Like,
yeah.
Because even my Polish friends, like, they've been here for a year and a half. And they said that they just got their motorcycles registered. Oh. And I was like, why? It's like, he's like, dude, it's just a pain.
It's a pain,
everything just takes a long time. Mm-hmm. But I think that it's possible.
Yeah.
It's definitely possible.
Right.
I would recommend if you're American or Canadian or something, come here just as a tourist.
Right.
If you stay for 3 months, see if you like it.
Right.
And then figure it out. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe you could just take Spanish classes too, right?
Well, the trickiest thing, and this is it's so weird how they have this entrepreneur's visa. They require you to have a lease for a year. But like, how are you getting a visa for an entire year if... Like, I guess they're assuming you went for the 90 days, searched for a place, signed a lease, and then you signed a lease, committed, just praying that the entrepreneur's visa is going to get approved. So that thing's a little off. So I would just use someone, if you know someone in Spain, use their address until you get approved, or like whatever Airbnb you plan to be in, just like use that address and then maybe cancel if you don't get approved.
Okay.
But yeah, the whole process, the approval took a little under 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. But at least it's possible.
Yeah.
And it's a nice place. So it's worth it. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But to be honest, as an American with other choices, for me, it's very nice to be here.
Right.
But there's so many other places I can be instead.
Right.
And that's why I don't live here.
Yeah.
But I do like it. And,
I really like it.
And I'm glad I came back to visit. It's nice to see you again.
Yeah.
It's nice to catch up with everyone. I'm here because the Nomad cruise is leaving from here in 2 weeks. Yeah. So it kind of just all kind of happened to work out together.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So there's the Nomad cruise that leaves from here at least once a year. Mm-hmm. And then there's the Nomad City, which is Nacho's conference.
Yeah, November.
And that's for remote workers.
Right.
And remote companies.
Yep.
Okay. And then what else is... Then we have the
co-living
conference. When is that?
Co-living, I think it's in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe right when this comes out, if you want to just hop on a quick plane.
Yeah.
What is that one called, do you know?
Oh, I think it's just co-living conference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So there's definitely a lot happening here.
And then Carnival.
Carnival, yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I think
beach tennis. If anyone's like hard into beach tennis, apparently the number one beach tennis player lives here.
Wow.
The second best is in Puerto Rico.
Wow. Okay.
So I get trained by the guy. I play with him, and then his friend lives here. It's funny that these are the two islands that like love beach tennis.
Yeah, and I can see why. I mean, it's a nice beach, good weather, so you can play year round.
Yeah.
I played beach volleyball here last time.
Oh, you did? Cool. Yeah, they have a good community for that.
Yeah. So, nice place to live. But I hope you enjoy Puerto Rico as much.
Yeah.
I think for Puerto Rico, if I had family on the East Coast, or I had like a home base on the East Coast, or if I was making a lot of money through capital gains, either through
You have to.
cryptocurrency or through like other investments, then I would live in a place like
Right.
Puerto Rico where the taxes are. Is it less or zero for?
Right. Yeah. So it's 0 with federal.
Uh-huh.
But then state, but it's not a state. The
Puerto Rico
territory,
state?
it's
Okay.
considered a territory.
Okay.
The territory is 4%.
Okay, so instead of
But-
paying 15, you would pay 4.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's 0 for federal and then 4% for Puerto Rico. But keep in mind, you have to submit the application. It takes about three months. There's consulting companies that charge you anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 to set that
Wow.
up. I did it myself because I'm a research nerd.
Okay.
And it takes about 3 months.
Okay.
Then once you get approved, but not every service is approved as long as you're exporting your services.
Yeah.
So meaning you have a client in the U.S. or somewhere outside of Puerto Rico. You can't have a client in Puerto Rico. Yeah. And so export of services.
Okay.
Yeah, then you get approved. Oh, but the other thing that's Act 20 for the business. Act 22, you have to make a donation of $5,000 every year.
Every year?
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's the thing. If you're killing it, it makes sense. But if
Okay.
you're not paying $5,000 a year, it's mandatory. You have to make a donation to any nonprofit in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's also, I mean, it's nice.
which I'm
right?
sure
It's nice.
next year,
Yeah.
maybe for you.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I won't be moving to Puerto Rico anytime soon.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
yeah.
But this has been really fun.
Yeah, this is
I'm
great.
glad to have you on.
I listen to your show all the time. I feel honored that I'm on it.
Well, I feel honored. Yeah, you're my friend.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
So, how do people reach out to you if they want to keep in touch or say hi?
Yeah, probably Instagram, Capapedia. So, yeah.
How do you spell that?
Capa Ada, Pedia. Peda. Did I butcher
What does that
it?
mean? What does that mean?
So my company is Kappa.
Okay.
And then just Pedia. Meaning
Like Wikipedia?
yeah, exactly. Don't make fun of me. No one's ever asked me that.
That's so funny. Okay. So, CAPA
EDA.
EDA.
Yeah.
Okay. CAPA EDA.
EDA.
Oh, God. It's hard to say.
That or the contact form on AmericanExpatsInSpain.com.
Okay.
Or join the community on Facebook.
You guys are strong now, right?
Yeah,
Like,
2,500.
are you guys, is it like something that's capped at 2,500? Or because I know you guys named it like 2,500 something.
Oh, no, it's just named American Expats in Spain.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I created it for, I think there was like 5 of us in the group, and it was a private group. And then I didn't plan to create this big group. And I think Facebook is doing a huge push for active groups.
Yep.
And we have at least 10 posts a day. And each post gets about like 1,500 views.
Wow.
So like...
It's very active.
Yeah. And I didn't realize how much momentum it was getting until like a ton of people were approaching me about advertising. And I was like, what? So this is the first time me like having a network, like, I'm like, what does this mean? How do I monetize it? So yeah, so it's growing, but anyone wants to consider moving to Spain, it's a very helpful group. It's 50% are in the US trying to figure out how to make that move and like asking how to get the non-lucrative visa, talking to the community, how do you find a place, how do you find the right school. There's a lot of really good and knowledgeable people that are Americans in Spain that have been living here for, multiple years, helping people make that transition. So it's about 50% people that are already living in Spain and moved from America, and then the other 50% are still in the US trying to get the guts to move out here.
Okay, really cool. I like that.
Yeah, so
Alright.
it's a helpful community.
So if any of you want to move out to Spain and you're American or probably Canadian as well,
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
probably helpful group.
Yeah.
If you're from the EU already, if you're in the EU already, check out Ryanair. And just and to top over.
Oh my God. You're joking, right? You're a fake influencer too.
So
Oh my God.
is it okay? What actually airlines fly directly to Gran Canaria,
Gran Canaria.
to Las Palmas
There are, so it
There's a
will
ton,
start,
right?
from
Europe?
from Europe. So Binter, Iberia, Ryanair does it. Yeah.
Ryanair is the best airline in the
Oh
world.
my God. Do you know you can't call them? You have to pay like 44 cents a minute like to call them.
Oh, God, that's
they
so
don't
funny.
have a 1-800 number. They don't allow pets to travel on the airline, and it's not included in the flight for a bag.
Yeah, seatbelts
just-
are $5
Yeah,
extra.
exactly.
Like, oh, you don't want to die? Okay, here you go.
Exactly.
No, but I'm glad they're around. As
Yeah.
long as you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, and then Binter from Boston. I think it starts April 1st. will be a direct flight.
Is that an April Fool's joke? Or
Yeah, right? That sounds like one.
People should just not do anything on April 1st.
Exactly.
April 2nd.
You're setting yourself up for disaster. Yeah.
All right. But Julie, it was really fun having you.
Thank you.
I'm glad we're hanging out in Las Palmas.
Yeah. Hopefully I see you. I'm going to be traveling most of Latin America for the rest of the year. So if you find yourself out that way, let me know.
Probably not this year. I'll be in Mexico though.
Okay.
So Nomads Summit.
Oh yeah. I'll swing over to the visit.
Yeah, please come. So Cancun Nomads Summit, October. I should know the dates. Mid-October sometime. But you can check out nomadsummit.com.
Oh, it's right before the conference here.
Yeah,
Nomad
actually,
City. Are you going to come to this one?
I'm not going to be coming back to it's too far. But I looked it up, October 12th. So that's actually beginning of October.
Yeah, that's perfect. And that's a good time because it's starting to get cold. People are going to want that escape.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be a really good conference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll see you in Mexico.
Awesome.
Hopefully I'll see everyone listening to this in Mexico as well. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks for leaving all these great 5-star reviews of the podcast on iTunes and everywhere else you guys hanging out. We actually got 5 new reviews this month or week or something. So
I'll leave you a review.
I appreciate that. So that's it. So see you guys next time. See you, Julie.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Hasta luego.
Okay. See
Ciao.
ya.
Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at travellikeabosspodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.